crack my knuckles. Okay, this has been kind of a disaster for me. I just started school, so now I have to do everything later, but then I wasn't ready, and then everything started falling apart, and my cramps started, and then I felt as if the world was falling apart for a second, because I don't deal with my emotions very well. Regardless of all that, though, I'm fairly certain I fixed the audio problems this time. I kind of debated whether or not to just call the last video, well, an incomplete to say the least, to just say fuck it all and, you know, not let anyone see it ever. But, I don't know. I just don't feel like it's that big of a deal. Not a lot of people watch me, and I'm not doing this to be super big or famous. And I'm just having fun, and if someone sees me be cringe online, then, well, if that's the worst thing I'm doing online, then I'm probably doing it right. If the worst thing is just us very echoey audio, then, it's not the end of the freaking world. Anyways, on that note, what I'm doing right now is painting a Harley Quinn. I'm painting Harley Quinn. And you might be wondering why I'm painting a big red thing for it. It's because a while ago I had to do like, oh, fuck me. I don't know, I'm toxic to this paint. I'm so for real, like, don't want to get my water. Let's see. What happens when you paint? It's non-toxic. Yeah, you haven't put poison control number on it. I'm seriously debating it. I'll cross that bridge when we get there. Anyways, I had to do an assignment where I had to paint things in like a different color than they're supposed to be. And then I hated my first project, and this is about the time the first, like the second Suicide Squad movie was out, so Harley Quinn was popular again. So I painted a version with her, and I liked it in the moment, but like then immediately afterwards I hated it because I wasn't very good at 2/3 faces. So we're trying again. This time with red and black instead of red and blue. And we'll see if I do good. I'm probably not. I had to use a canvas I could find, so there was already a drawing I was gonna do, but then decided not to because I was too bored and too lazy. So it's kind of fucked. I can't really see the drawing I did on it. It had to be very preliminary because you can't really. The canvas in the museum doesn't really take what you call it? Take pencil off very well. So we're kind of just living with the consequences of past me. So, but the good thing with paint is you always have white paint. So I'm kind of just doing a half red, half black face. Pause. Doubly racist. Wow, two for the price of one. Anyways, I'm kind of doing it like this, and then we'll go back. As long as it looks better than my first one, I'm A-okay. I think this is a good enough base for me to start talking about it. I procrastinated this a lot. By that I mean I didn't watch the movie till like last night. Stayed up till 4 watching it, went to sleep, and woke up at like 9 to go to school in the morning. And then I had to come home. And that's why I'm late, because it's too hot to immediately go from school to this. I needed a few seconds to try and reach homeostasis. My body gave a valiant effort, but my room is always the hottest in the house. Like, I'll go outside of my room to get food, and then I'll step into my room, and immediately you can feel the 10-degree difference. It is 98 outside right now, and I bet you it feels better outside. Like, I'm... whatever. You know, this is why I'm not built for the heat. I'm built for the cold, and I still have a whole month of summer left. The solstice doesn't end until like September 22nd at a very specific time. And I doubt we're gonna get lucky and get fall weather before it's officially fall. I doubt we'll get fall weather in fall. We fucked up this world. And now I have to live with the California consequences of it all. Okay. I think his name is Michael Rooker. I don't know. The guy that plays Yondu plays some guy with long hair called Savant, and we have this very intricate ball scene where he has like gets to sit in this box for his recreation time and throw a ball at specific spots on the wall, and then he throws a ball and it kills a bird. It's a fun setup scene. This tone of the movie is very whimsical, especially compared to like everything else. Like there's a lot of gratuitous violence, but it's all just very whimsical to me. Maybe I overdid that. Whoopsie daisies. I knew it was two. This is the one thing I hate about paint, and sometimes you gotta put on like so many layers for anything to mean anything, and those layers have to dry. This is probably should have done this first, because I'm fairly good at painting, if I do say so for myself, but I am not good at waiting. That's why I don't like shooting guns. It's just, I have to wait so much to get a good shot. Names are so much more practical. I don't have the patience to shoot a gun. I've shot guns at ranges multiple times. And if you want to actually get a good shot, you have to like actually pay attention and do shit. You know, there's a certain level of narcissism that comes with putting yourself out here like this. And that's the one thing I haven't really been able to pick up. I like to think I'm a funny person. And I like to think I'm somewhat charming. You know, the same way like a bear on a ball is charming, like in a kind of sad way. Anyways, I like to think I'm somewhat charming. But like, I have to do everything on the spot for hours on hand. I feel like I lose all my eloquence. I lose all my train of thought. I lose my ability to multitask. This kind of sucks because I do kind of, in a way, I do kind of like doing this. Somewhat, at least. And it's annoying that in order to do this, it's just annoying to like do something and feel like you're not as good as you can be. Because there's something to be said about like doing something and then you're just bad at it and you know you're bad at it. So it's just like if you do anything other than being bad about it, even for a slight millisecond, you feel good compared to like this, where it's just like I know I can be better. I've done a lot of like, well, not a lot, but I've done comedy before in front of like an audience and it's good. I've done public speaking and it's good. I've talked about my points online and people at least some would agree with them because I like can't went enough. Maybe it's just because there's no scripts here. I mean, I guess that's as good as reason as any. Maybe I'm only good at scripted comedy. I don't know how I feel about that. I suppose there's worse flaws. Or maybe I'll get better at this at time. I suppose there's always that. I don't really have a lot of friends that do this, so I don't really know, like, oh, I'm supposed to ask for help with this. Whatever. This isn't a great painting day for me, so I don't have a feeling this is not going to be a fun experience for all of us involved. As I said, there's a certain degree of narcissism that comes with this, and I don't have enough self-esteem for that narcissism. I do genuinely believe that everyone has two wolves inside of them. One of them's a raging narcissist that believes their shit doesn't stink and constantly fills your head up with what if a school shooter came in and you defeated them? What if you were on a plane and you stopped hijackers? And then there's the other wolf that doesn't believe you can do anything. And I'm guilty of both, I would say. But my narcissism stays in my fantasies where it belongs. You know, I don't really think it translates as much in the real world as I'd like it to. I don't really know where I'm going from here. Okay. Whatever. This is a bad painting day. It's a bad head day. It's a bad body day. I have bad cramps right now. And I'm just gonna power through it because, you know, I already started it. I might as well finish this. You know? I think it's mostly because I didn't do any color blocking. Because I didn't think I had to. My goal is to kind of just finish this head here. And maybe I'll do something else. Like maybe I can do the first Suicide Squad movie, even though I hate it, and then I finish the rest. Just because painting takes me a really long time. Which is why I should have color blocked before, but I really procrastinated this. I didn't really have the best art teacher in high school. I joked about it a little bit before, but she really isn't the best for me or for any of her students. And she really liked when I painted, which really made me hate painting because I tried to experiment with other art styles, and then she'd always be like, oh, why don't you paint this? Oh, you should paint this. Why don't you paint more? And it just like really annoyed me. I mean, she did other things. I don't want to like say, oh, she only did this, and like the worst thing is, oh, she told me to paint what I don't want to paint. It just makes me sound like a whiny bitch. But yeah, it just was very annoying to, do something you like and then show it off and you're experimenting with another art style. And then her to not give any criticism about it, just saying that why didn't you paint this? You should have painted this. And it's just like, oh, okay, so then it's just all shit. Everything except the idea is shit. Got it, got it, got it, got it. Just another way in high school I was supposed to be forced into a box. It's kind of the story of my freaking life. Am I right, fellas? But I digress. It's literally the least of all my problems. Like, I don't really know how I'm a functional human being sometimes. Regardless of my faults, she wasn't very good at being an art teacher, and but she was okay to me. But she was like really mean to my friends, which is also like made us hate her, and we were stuck with her all 3 years because we had COVID. I don't really count being stuck with her that year. I didn't really even have to see her that much. So it just wasn't the greatest time doing art in high school. I suppose I'm wasting time talking about myself, um, so I can get more of this project done. I'm probably gonna be here for a while though. I do remember, like, I kind of got back at her a few times because of, well, it all. There's one specific time where I got her to say BBC. Well, I believe she said, I love BBC. And that wasn't even intentional. I just, if you ever played the Cat Tower game, the fun part about that game is they don't have a censor. So you can name the cats whatever the fuck you want. So I named one of my cats BBC. And we were talking about it, and I have a friend who's notoriously bad at noticing that kind of stuff, like sexual references. He's just very oblivious to it. He's not on that side of the internet. Um, Innocent. And he was like, what is that? And so we explained it to him. But, um, just like generally speaking, I don't know why she wasn't like paying attention to us explaining it to her. But we like explained it to him, and he's like, oh, and we're like, yeah, that's what BBC is. And I guess that's the only part she heard. And she's like, oh, I love BBC. And she was talking about the British Broadcasting Network. We all just started laughing, and she thought we were laughing at her for that, which we weren't, because even though we all knew that's what she was like trying to say, she didn't say I love the BBC. She just said I love BBC. You take your shits and giggles where you can in high school, especially a Catholic one. Like, I do miss high school sometimes. I think I had a lot of ideas about what would happen when my life would start, including thinking this is when my life would start. And none of it was really true. I don't really know what I'm doing anymore. And I suppose I'm young enough that it doesn't really matter. I'm kind of getting really sad right now. I blame the heat and my mental health. I don't know. I'm just talking about things because I'm trying to waste time. And I'm also trying to get some like preliminary colors because in order to like talk about some of the things on the page, I have to actually look down and remember what actually happened in the movie, and that's a little hard to do when you're painting. Uh, so thing is, I can paint faces, but I'm not really good at painting real people. I don't think I've like fully figured out how to make someone look like someone 100%. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, again, as I said, like my first one was really bad. So as long as it looks a little better than that, it should be fine. She has a lot of forehead. When you start making people, you start to notice things about themselves when you look at them for far too long. Um, which you know, I didn't know how big her forehead was. A lot of real estate here. It also, on the topic of being impatient, I don't really like wait for my paint to dry before I add another layer unless I absolutely have to. Gets my paintings done faster, but it does annoy me when I have to like really coat on something because it's just not sticking on top of a wet layer because it's not what paint's supposed to do. Okay, I think I have enough of a base. About the base, about the base, no trouble. Um, yeah, I think I have enough of a base to actually start talking without feeling as though I'm 100% falling behind and I don't know what I'm doing and I'm actually a fraud. Imposter system, imposter syndrome talk. It's like a motherfucker every time you paint. And then you like create something good and then you look crazy in front of people who can't paint because you like are talking all this shit before. It's kind of like imposter syndrome is sort of like the artist equivalent of like someone saying they were having a really bad day and like they're gonna end it all blah 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 and then turns out and they just like drop their ice cream on the ground. And that's what it feels like talking about being good at art and then talking about imposter syndrome with someone that isn't. They're like, you're not an artist. I couldn't create this in a million years. What are you wanting about? And it's like, you can't not sound annoying talking about imposter syndrome or that you're not as good as an artist as someone else. Talking to someone who just isn't an artist or working in any field that isn't art. You just sound insane. It's sort of like a pick me, for lack of a better word. She has little smile lines. My mouth doesn't do a whole lot when it smiles except look really awkward. Because I get in my head about smiling. Is that good? I probably should add more lighter colors to her big ass forehead. I think I've just taken to insulting her now at this point. I'm not even trying to be nice. Well, it's not like I'm on her radar, or anyone's radar for that matter. Seeing as the fact that I completely stopped interacting with any sort of idea of a chat, that it's just too much pressure for me. I don't know. like, I think that's the whole point of doing something like live is the fact that you're like talking to someone that might talk back to you. Because then it's like, if you can't do that, then you might as well um, go on YouTube or something, or watch Netflix. But I don't believe I have enough to say to do this, let alone talk to real people, once in a blue moon, real people that come in here and pretend that I am a charming enough person to make them stay with pure charisma alone. So, I suppose, for now at least, until I'm able to work up the courage or develop that skill naturally on my own, I have to rely on my... God damn, I don't really have any other skills to rely on, huh? My art, I suppose, we'll go with that. Yeah, my art skills. I have to rely on my art skills to build a following. Which I also have to convince myself that I want. I'm kind of a very nervous person, but I have a disproportionate sense of fear. Which is kind of funny. Okay. That being said, I think I really need to start actually talking about what we're supposed to be talking about. I also think I made this nose huge and I don't know how to make it smaller. I don't contour anything. And I'm assuming it's like similar principles. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm not actually like classically trained in any sort of art form. I don't actually know anything about art, so to say. I just know how to do art. You know, they don't actually have any of those, like, I don't understand color theory or like golden ratio or lines and stuff like that. You know, I barely know what I'm doing in terms of all that. And yet, here I am. I don't even know who that is. I guess someone called me. I don't think I... Do I know? I don't know. There was a period of my life where I pretended to be a man named Tyrone Bishops, and I was harassed daily for like a month straight by realtors from Washington. It's a long story. He made like $1 million, so they really wanted my business. I mean, his business. I mean, our business. It's not like I was making real money. It's not really a scam if no one's making any money. It's just, and it's not a prank if you're trying to prank them. I suppose it's just a lie. I ended up with me being harassed by 2 women from a realty website. It's not my fault that all these freaking websites don't let you look at houses without like signing up, and I didn't want them to bother reel me. So I made a fake name and a fake. If they fell for Tyrone Bishops, then how the fuck is that my fault? That was the fakest sounding name I could think of. I'm sorry. I just when they harassed me for like a week. It was emails and phone calls and voice calls. I don't even live in Washington. I've never even been to Washington. I just needed reference photos of houses in the state of Washington. This is what I get for lying. This is like Jesus called into sin. That's why I'm going to hell. It's not the first time I pretended to be a person online. This is the first time I paid for it. You need to know stuff. Just look at images. If you need to look at houses, just look at images. Because then you have to sign up for realty websites. And then you have to pretend to be a guy named Tyrone Bishops that makes $1 million to look at the rich houses. And then two ladies won't leave you alone for a whole month. Because even though you put a fake email, you put your real number for some goddamn reason. And now you're living with the consequences. This looks crazy from your perspective. Okay, let's start. So first we had the ball scene with Savant. And then, Amanda Waller calls in, played by Viola Davis, who's a great actress. And basically, she tells him what's happening. So, essentially, they put an explosive device in your head. If you complete the mission, you get 10 years knocked off your sentence. If you desert, it's going off. If you try to take it out, it's going off. If you do anything that is not part of the mission, it is going off. And you're going to be working with this ragtag group. So Savant ends up working with Colonel Flag, Weasel, Mongal, TDK, Captain Boomerang, Javelin, Blackguard, Weasel, and Harley Quinn. I believe those are the players in Group 1. Yes, okay. And so we see them get on the plane, they have a fun little banter, and then we see the people, the tech people and stuff that are working under Amanda Waller are all betting on them while they complete this mission. And basically, the mission, as they know it, this group, is that they have to, invade this beach. At least that's the information we get. So they get onto this, they, jump out of a plane. Weasel immediately drowns because no one asks if he could swim. He gets pulled on shore, but they say he's dead. At least everyone thinks he's dead. And then the last we see of his character in the series, we know he survived because we see it at the end, but creature commandos. Anyways, the end of all this, they get onto the beach, and then they find out that Blackguard had immediately sold him out. He comes out, hands up, saying, "I'm the one who contacted you, blah, 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 blah." I thought about doing this in red. It might be better to do this in black. Though I suppose we'll have to do that part later, huh? How dries? I suppose we can do black side of the face. Doesn't sound better, no matter how many times I say it. Also, this is starting to look like a murder. Also, yeah. Something I forgot to mention is that when I paint, it becomes a full body experience. I just started painting. By the time this is over, there will be paint all over my legs, my torso, my face, my feet. Yes, that is right, my feet. I have been known to use my feet as a palette. Do I have a palette? Yes, of course I have a palette. I'm an artist, technically speaking. It just happens. Okay, I'm not here to worry about things like not painting on myself or being clean. I'm here to paint, god damn it. And I'll paint any way I want to. It's a problem. It's a problem. But that's why God created showers, according to Catholic school. Yep. No, I have wild pictures of me just this is me after 4 hours of painting. And I'm just more paint than man. And again, I know I have a problem. But that's what shower. I mean, if your problem can be easily solved by just taking a shower, then do you really have a problem? Or is it just an extra step to your process? Comment down below. I got a little distracted because, as I said, this is starting to look like I killed someone and then just decided to clean it up with this one rag. Oh, okay. So Blackguard sells him out, played by Pete Davidson. I'll say I like Pete Davidson. There's my hot take of the day. I actually like Pete Davidson. I don't think he's attractive, but I do think he's a good actor in the things I've seen him in, I should say. And I think he's funny in the things I've seen him in. And I think that there are actual villains in this world, and he's not one of them. Anyway. I don't think I did this completely down the center because I have an eye stigmatism. I blame a lot of things on my eye stigmatism, even though I refused to learn how. I didn't actually fix it, so I'm not even sure how it works. Some doctors just told me I had an eye stigmatism and that they could train me out of it, and I told them I'm good, thanks. It doesn't affect my life. And then whenever something eye related affects my life, I just blame my eye stigmatism. Even though I don't know how it works and I didn't fix it. It's fine, I think. You know, when you do eyes and ears and noses and faces, they say to do them at the same time so you don't get confused. At all? Okay, I didn't try this off. You're supposed to do it at the same time so they don't come off super wonky. Because then your brain remembers the shape more if you do it simultaneously. And I know that fact in my head, and I've never once done that. I've always done one side of the face. And this is why I do digital art, because then you can do one side of the face and then you can copy and paste on the other side and then just fix it in post. As I said, I don't fix my problems, I just center my life around my problems so I don't have to fix them. Even though I probably should, especially when they become a problem. I don't really know what I'm doing. I made her nose really big and her chin really tiny. Which I didn't really notice until I started doing the other side of the face. I'm just gonna keep repeating my mantra. It can't be worse than last time. It can't be worse than last time. Okay, well, this is just gonna keep happening. So, Blackguard gets shot in the face. He gets betrayed by the Corto Maltese army, and which is vaguely Hispanic. And then I don't think it's a real place. Then the fighting commences. They're like, oh, we've been burned. Waller says, continue your mission. That's what's important anyway. And this is how they die. In order. Weasel drowns. Blackguard gets shot in the head. Mongo jumps onto a helicopter, spins it around and around, and then burns up after the helicopter falls on her and explodes. Boomerang gets splinters and then gets hit by the helicopter that she brought down. Traveling gets shot a bunch of times. TDK gets shot in the arm and then shot in the body. His arms come off. He's a detachable kid. And then Savant sees this all, freaks the fuck out, respectfully, and just dives into the ocean to try to get away, and then they kill him for deserting. And in a fun or cruel twist of events, depending on how you see human life, a bird, the same kind of bird that he killed, eats his rotting flesh. And we kind of get a title card sequence. And then we meet team number 2, because it turns out Waller kind of low key sacrificed all of them to get her team onto the beach, which is fun. Um, yeah, I didn't really do this very good half and half, did I? Anyways, so we meet Team 2. So first we're introduced to Bloodsport played by Idris Elba. So Bloodsport, let's use human words. Thank you. Bloodsport is basically on cleaning duty in the prison, so he's cleaning a bunch. It's revealed that Waller has tried to get him to join multiple times, but he doesn't know him to join her Suicide Squad, as they're called internally. So basically, she says he has a visitor, and then we meet her, and it's like his daughter. And his daughter was arrested for shoplifting, and they have like a fight about it. It's kind of a juxtaposition to how Will Smith's character of Deadshot was played in the first Suicide Squad movie, but we're not gonna really talk about like the nuances between the two because I don't really got time for that. So I'll just kind of talk about it like an isolated incident. Oh, that's strange. Yeah, we'll just kind of talk about it like it's its own separate identity in and of itself. Anyways, so the scene basically starts off with her saying, "Oh, I stole something." He's like, "What did you steal?" And she told him, and he's like, gives her tips on how to not get caught sometimes, and then she blows up on him, saying that's all he cares about. And then he blows up on her, and they start like cussing each other out. And then he's like explaining how there's like no good to him, and that she should give up on him, and like he doesn't know why she's still here, and then she's saying like he doesn't care, like she got caught shoplifting and he doesn't even care about that, and she's like talking about how it's embarrassing because like he went to jail because he shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet, and there's a lot of discourse on whether or not that actually happened. They don't talk about it. Superman doesn't talk about it in the Superman movie, so it didn't happen. It might have happened in a different way, but the way that it is explained just straight up didn't happen like that. That's not that hard to follow. There's a lot of hard geometric lines that I'm making right now. Because as I said, I'm not classically or formally or any like way trained. So I'm just doing things and then things happen. Anyways. So this whole scene we kinda come up away with like one main theme of Bloodsport's character, and then one like fun little thing about his daughter I want to bring up. So the first thing we kind of learn about his way Bloodsport is described as someone that was trained to kill by his dad, and any weapon in his hand is a deadly weapon, and you know all these other things. Like he's a weapon, he's a trained killer, his dad did this, and he talks about it with his daughter, basically like saying like, I don't know why you're still here, there's no good in me, you can't find it, you keep trying to find it, and you're just gonna get hurt, I've been telling you this in the beginning. And on one hand, it's an excuse, because it's kind of what it is, it's an excuse for him not to be good, it's an excuse for him not to try, and on the other hand, it's just like exactly what he feels. Like it's a running theme with his character that he just doesn't really see any good within himself, and it's just like a self-deprecating point of his character is that he just like constantly talks about how there's no good in him, but both him and Ratcatcher and I guess Sebastian all see it in him, and it's like, oh, there's goodness inside. The classic, there's goodness inside you this whole time kind of trope. But, I mean, it's not the worst trope in the world, and I think they play it pretty well. Um, Especially since there's like, um, especially like how we see like, he's like, why did you come here? And she's like, I'm going to court very soon, and Waller said you can help me, and that's when he like immediately gets up into arms, and he finds out that she's gonna send him to prison, and first he tries to like cover it up a little bit, and he's like, okay, maybe if you use and Juvie might do her some good. She's tough. She made this grave. Like, I'm not gonna be pushed into this. And then Waller basically says that, oh no, she could be tried as an adult, and she stole something very expensive, so that I could see how it could be a felony robbery. And she could be sent to Belle Reve, and well, unfortunately, we're just not really good at keeping our prisoners alive. And then that's when he agrees to go with her, because basically saying he's gonna kill her daughter, because her daughter would be on the woman's side, a place he cannot reach. And there's a few things I like to bring up about the scene. First of all, Amanda Waller. God damn, is Viola Davis a good actor? So it was Idris Elba. That whole scene gave me literal fucking chills. Like, he gets him in her face and screams at her, and he grabs a pen. And the fact that, like, first of all, she let him walk in there, and she, like, immediately, like, told everyone to stand down with such power in her voice, so she didn't even waver at all. She had him by the balls, and she knew it. And, like, everyone was like, you're not actually going to do that, right? And she's like, you don't know what I would do for this country. And that's kind of the thing about Amanda Waller is she'll do. She's not even really for the greater good. She's just for America. And like when she's stopping world-stopping threats, it's not so much that the world is gonna end. It's so much so America's gonna end. And I think that's just a fun, like, dichotomy of the character. Like, not a person that's doing something for the greater good and is kind of like doing all these things for the greater good. It's a character doing this for their specific country. It's not even about the good of the world or the fate of the world. Like, she only helps, like, U.S. allies. And that just means, like, places the U.S. has a vested interest in. She doesn't really care about any of the people there. She doesn't really care about American heroes or whatsoever. She lies to people who consider her friend. Like, it's all that she does is for one master, which is America. I probably should have done this side the black side, now I saw the white side. Whatever. This is kind of looking freaky. In my head, it looked a lot better than what it does. It's starting to look like at the moment. And you know what? Whoops. Whoopsie daisies. Need to add more black to my palette. Okay. So yeah, that's the whole thing about Amanda Waller's character. She'll hurt whoever she has to hurt. She'll kill whoever she kills. She'll fuck over whoever she has to fuck over. As long as America and its interests are kept. As long as America's secrets are kept when they need to be kept. As long as America's allies still trust America when they need to trust America. Like, all of these things. So, we also get this fun thing where he's supposed to lead a team. And he's like, I'm no leader. And she's like, I'll make one out of you. Also gave me chills. So he agrees to do it. And then we get to meet his team. So, let's see where we are now. Final card, prison, debrief. Yeah, okay. So we meet the team. The first person we meet is Peacemaker, played by John Cena, as you remember. So he's basically described. He as the same exact way as Bloodsport was, raised by his father to be a killer. Anything in his hand is a deadly weapon. And then he's like, so he's everything I am. And then John Cena says, but better. We've all seen the meme. And this buck is starting to like blend in. So this light, if I'm gonna be honest. I'm trying to like add some sort of degree of separation between the black and the gray, but as I said, I paint wet over wet. Pause. You know what? I said what I said. I'm painting wet over wet. Which doesn't really help with some techniques in painting. But boy, does it shave down time sometimes if you don't completely fuck it up. So, first thing, Peacemaker, has his exact same backstory. He's seen as very cocky and brash and antagonistic to Bloodsport's like being the boss of it all. Well, he's like the troublemaker at this point. And when we're introduced to King Shark, Nanawe, played by Sylvester Stallone, he's very adorable, fairly dumb, and he is their juggernaut, and he has a penchant for human flesh. Then they are introduced to Ratcatcher. So they go into the women's prison, they get heckled a little bit. She's very sleepy, as evidenced, and very like she has a pet rat named Sebastian. Sorry, I'm cramps. Next, we introduce to the last member of their team, Polka Dot Man, and he's their only like metahuman, so he has to wear like a metahuman collar, and he throws like polka dots at people. That's what his power is described in at this point. Is this part dry yet? Not really. I suppose I can do that or her braid. I guess I can do something for braid right now. I wonder what color. I'm trying to decide what color to do. Like eyeshadow. I suppose we'll cross that bridge when it dries. Yeah, okay. So they do the debrief, and so this is what we know. Corto Maltese was run by the Herrera family. They were U.S. allies, and then this guy named Luna and Suarez, the general, like two military leaders, did a coup, executed the whole family, and then took over. And they are no longer U.S. allies, and they are considered an enemy. And they have this very large facility called Jotunmeier, which has something in it called Project Starfish, and that needs to be destroyed. And that is their mission, to break in and destroy Project Starfish, wipe it out completely. We'll find out exactly what that means more later. I kind of did that a little bigger than I wanted to, but it is what it is. We also find out, you know, this is just, sometimes this looks creepy if I look at it in a certain way. And by that I mean every way. Most ways. It's hard for it not to look creepy. Okay, so that is their mission to breathe. They kind of like rattle around. We get to see their costumes for the first time, and I do think it's kind of funny. Those are just in like lockup because they kind of like put their clothes somewhere, and when you get out of prison, you like can change back into the clothes you were arrested in. And it's just kind of funny that the clothes that they're arrested in and the movies that they're arrested in are like superhero outfits, and they just decided to keep them somewhere that they could easily get them back. Reason. So now we're back to they're given the first directive, which I have to find a man named the Thinker that will get them into Jotunmeier, and he hangs out at a gentleman's club. So now we're back to the present. Harley Quinn and Rick Flag are the only two left alive. Harley Quinn finds Javelin as he's dying, and she gets his javelin. He tells her that she must do something with it, but not what, and then she gets captured. Flag ends up trying to like contact someone. He's like going off screen, and he also gets captured in a different place. They find out that Flag is still alive, and they saw this tracker. So Amanda Waller sends the Suicide Squad before they can leave to go find Rick Flag. But before that, while they're sleeping for the night, Bloodsport wakes up, sees Pokemon expel his polka dots. He also sees Nanaue try to eat Ratcatcher, so he shoots him a couple times. She thinks he wasn't going to eat him, and then she finds out that he was going to eat him. She gets mad. She turns on her rat device that summons a bunch of rats. We find out Bloodsport is deathly afraid of rats, and they all have kind of a laugh at him, but eventually they like put all the rats away, and he can like calm down. Then they get the directives that they have to go, so they go off to capture, capture Rick Flag. So, this is not great for me. Oh yeah. It's hard to get pure white when you kind of dip other colors into the white. Because you're careless like that. Okay. So, they go and it's basically Peacemaker and Bloodsport having like this kill off. Fairly unprofessional. Also, this is why I said this movie is very whimsical. Like, from a choreography like standpoint, it just doesn't make much sense whatsoever. There's a lot of characters where we see the guy like slow motion walking, like Bloodsport slow motion walking towards him, having killed someone right in front of him, and then we cut to the fact that they were there the whole time and they just didn't react. And normally I would say that this is a problem, especially since like there are a lot of whimsical action movies, like campy style. Kill Bill, I would say, is one of them. I do not like Kill Bill. I know that is a hot take. A lot of people do. I did not care for either of them. I thought they were bad movies. And I think just because a movie is camp doesn't make it a good movie. Like, the first Scream is camp. I love it. I did not like Kill Bill. That being, anyways, I digress. One of these days I'm going to have to probably talk about Kill Bill, and I can talk about all the reasons why I don't think it's a good movie. And everyone will disagree with me, and it'll be a great day for me. Kind of like messed up this way, and I'm trying to fix it. Okay. But essentially, in this scene, we see a lot of Peacemaker doing these fancy moves and like killing. It's just basically the reason this works is because the whole movie's kind of whimsical. We got these whimsical title cards. We got whimsical fighting style, whimsical characters. It's all the tone of the movie allows the choreography to be a little bad in some standards. So I forgive it. I still found it, and then like to make up for that, it was like bad from like a will this actually happen standpoint. It's very fun to watch because we just see him using more and more ridiculous weapons. Like Bloodsport brings out a flamethrower at one point. Peacemaker has like axes and then blow dart guns. But yeah, essentially they like kill people with slow weapons in front of other people and no one reacts. But it's still fun to watch. And we see like their antagonistic sort of behavior to one another. I wonder if I had a lot of pink to this eyeshadow. What will happen? Because the red kind of blends in. And the black would. I don't know if the black would let her eye pop out that much. I suppose we could try. Yeah. And then eventually they get to the place where Rick Flag is being kept, and then apparently he is being kept by rebel forces and their allies, and they're helping, and they have to awkwardly explain that they all died in brutally fascist, beautiful, yeah, they all died in very fascist ways. No, they all died in these very vicious ways. One of them was eaten by King Shark, and basically she's like stunned by it, and he's very apologetic, which, okay, come on, what are they gonna do, introduce themselves to the person that has the person that they're supposed to rescue? Like, you know, they had to do a sneak attack because what if they're enemies? They're told that they're enemies. They weren't told there was any allies. They did the best with what information they had. Um, that being said, she does forgive it very easily. She's just like, well, whatever it takes to kill the people I'm after. Um, and she decides to work with them, which one? Yeah, I get that that's her position because like her family's dead or whatever, but I feel like that's sort of like a team meeting thing. Like I need to talk to about the team that the rest of my group that you didn't kill. I feel like this is sort of hands-on group meeting. Like, hey, should we still work with the psychopathic Americans that just kill first and ask questions later, or should we keep trying to fight this battle on our own? Eesh. This is why you don't paint when It's wet. Because it's a bad way to paint, and that's why they tell you not to paint like that. I don't know if it looks better or worse. No, I guess we'll let the rest of it dry before we start continuing to do things. You know? I need to clean off this brush properly before we continue. This is very creepy. It's gonna look wild when I post it. It does not look that much better in person. As I said, it seemed like a better idea in my head. I didn't think it was gonna look this creepy. You know, hindsight is 2020. Except apparently 2020 vision isn't like the best vision you can get, which is wild because that is just random ass propaganda we've been feeding each other for no apparent reason. Um, yeah. I guess I'm mostly just wondering how much of this I'll actually finish. How much I should finish, because there's no way I'm finishing it all today. I'm not sure. And I could suppose I could use it as a motivation to watch the first Suicide Squad movie. I also suppose that I could throw this down a wood chipper and hope the evil spirits that are summoned from it don't kill me when I sleep tonight. You know, you always have options. There's one thing I learned is you always have a choice. I mean, I always have good choices, and you always have a choice. Okay. I wanted to do this red and black because she was wearing a lot of red and black instead of red and blue like I did the original painting. But I didn't think through what that would actually mean for the character. Just a little bit of a rookie's mistake, to say the least. On the bright side, the bigger I'm making this than the actual sketch, the less I have to, like, additional stuff I have to do. Because I guess my goal is to at least finish the face. And then, like, maybe tomorrow, do not feel the motivation to do that today, and I don't have school tomorrow. Yeah, then I guess tomorrow I can finish the rest. Maybe. I feel like it. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah, they kill the whole army. She lets them off scot-free. They're just a stupid, reactive Americans, which is fair. They don't think a lot sometimes. Yeah, okay. That'll do, pig. I do realize that when I'm saying it and there's no one else here, that I am saying that'll do pig to myself. But I've called myself worse things, I suppose. And I need more black again. That's what she said. Anywho, I really should get better paints because that was way too hard though. They're not. I'm gonna start talking a little bit while this dries, so I'll get through as many like the least little things as I can. I'm gonna make this a little brighter, I think. And it might look better, it might look worse. It's definitely cursed, but it does look like a person. So take that with a grain of salt. Okay. Okay. We cut back to the Thinker, and he's going over his dead staff, and he goes and he finds the General and Luna, and they're watching a clip, and he asks someone to explain of what's in this building. And he says he's been working on this project called Starfish for 3 years. and that a group of astronauts, Americans, are first to find it. And it takes over people, and they call it the Beast. And they decide they're going to use this to pressure the Americans and like the other world powers. And the Thinker makes a deal with him because he's the only one that can control it. So basically, they're going to kill the whole world, but the Thinker will be able to control it, I guess, which seems like a stupid plan. But I digress. They go and they see the Beast for the first time, and it's very cool and very jarring. Then we get the president, Luna, gets called away because they have Harley. So they kept Harley in a hole, and they gave her a dress, and she puts on the dress, and then she goes and she meets the general, and then he like basically says, puts on a date. He says that his people like her because she showcases anti-American spirit, like rebelling against the machine, and she's very pretty, and they have like a date, and then they like hang out with the rainbow lorikeets, and then they have very confusing violent sex, I suppose. At least that's the implication. And then he starts talking about how he wants to marry her. It's the only reason that people don't like him is because he doesn't have a wife, and that his people really love her, and she would be a good wife for him. And then she agrees because she's also a romantic. And then he has a speech where he mentions that he's going to kill anyone who gets in his way, including women and children. And she shoots him. He dies. She gets arrested. The general finds out about this. He becomes the president, and he burns down the birdhouse. Okay, let's talk about a few things from there. First and foremost, who is Harley Quinn as a character? So, I should preface this. I guess I probably should have prefaced this before. I don't get character information the same way other people do. A lot of people in my space... Oh, God, am I a comic book reactor now? That's something to chew on later. In my space, a lot of people, do this thing where they read comic books, and they have since they were a young person, pre-9/11. I talk about 9/11 a lot. Never forget. Except, I wasn't there. I heard it wasn't very good. Here's a fun fact. For my generation, our 9/11 was the Queen dying. And you might be like, what does that mean? That is a terrible way to put that. That is almost offensive. And to that I say, I just mean like, there's certain events where it's like, where were you during this event? And I suppose if calling it 9/11 is too much for you, then we can call it the Challenger. So that was my Challenger explosion. Is that old enough? Did those people die far enough in the past that we can joke about that? So yeah, that was my Challenger explosion. Was when the Queen died, because I remember exactly where I was when it happened. I was in the computer room, and it had Bing on it. And you know how Bing works. It shows you news articles. And that was the top story of the day, and that's how me and my friend both found out. I low-key thought she was immortal, same with Stanley. But that's also because, like, when a certain person enters a certain age, they're just an amorphous, immortal being to me, unless I'm proven otherwise. They're just sort of like, they're so old that I can't fathom it, and they're just become timeless. I got distracted because of 9/11. Never forget. Teen Titans. Oh yeah, okay. So, I don't really read comics. I read what other people have to say after they read comics, and I watch TV shows and movies and stuff. So, some of the things they say might be wrong. I don't know. Don't trust a freaking 90-year-old. Don't trust anyone online. I don't know what you want me to say. This is the bed you must lie in. Okay. First and foremost, Harley Quinn exists as the sort of side character of the Joker, and that sounds very harsh to say, but this is my starting point, and you're just gonna have to stick with me. Harley Quinn first starts out as this psychiatrist. She works in Arkham Asylum. She becomes fascinated with the Joker. He's able to manipulate her and turn her into a sort of reflection of himself. And she's his partner in crime and his girlfriend, and also not that important in her life compared to how important he is to her. That is the facts. This is where I might be creating a few things. As I said, I don't really read comics. This is just my opinion based on what I've seen in digital media and what I have picked up based on people who have read comics, how they talked about her. Okay. So Harley Quinn is sort of she's very obsessive. She's smart. She knows her stuff, but she definitely has a streak of mental illness, and it starts off as this sort of like just wanting to know about this guy who terrorizes all these people in this place and is obsessed with the Batman, and it's professional curiosity. And this is a thing with like most serial killers, but like also something that we don't really see with the Joker is that he's charming. You know, he's a clown at the end of the day. He's got a certain there's a bit of whimsy to him. He's, you know, a narcissistic serial killer that will kill people in extremely fucked up ways and thinks anything violent is funny. As long as he's the one doing it. And, you know, so that's kind of how, like, people talk about him. And you want to learn, we as human beings always want to learn more about why people do, like, the fucked up things they do. And we especially want to know why he wants to do it. So it makes sense if someone is a psychiatrist, she might get a little bit into it. But I don't think what she expected is for him to be as charming as he was. Because that's not how he, like, presents himself to anyone. And I'm not going to really talk. Apparently there's a very good comic about, like, her falling for his charms and stuff. I'm not really going to get too into that. If you want to get more into that character, find out the name of the comic and really actually read it. Like, I'm not going to talk too much about that because I'm not, as I said, I'm not very good with romance. I don't really understand it. I don't have an experience with it. I experience sexual attraction differently so that it affects my relationship to romance and how I perceive it. In media, I don't understand chemistry because I'm as dense as a rock. I really once pulled that, oh, I bet I would like them card when the person was talking about me as the person they liked. So I was like, oh, we like the same things. I would get along with them. Of course you would, doofus. They're talking about you. Though I don't think I would like myself if I was confronted with another version of myself. But, you know, that's like a different story. But I do want to talk about Harleen Quinn. I'm not gonna really talk about Harleen Quinzel. We're gonna talk about Harley Quinn. So her character is like the Joker. She's reckless. She thinks violence is funny. She's very obsessive. But while Joker's obsession is to Batman, her obsession is to Joker. Her life kind of, but instead of like the Joker, she takes a more submissive role in her obsession, while the Joker's is very much like, look at me, look at what I'm doing, we belong together. I want to control you in a certain way. I'm going to push and needle and always be there to be the one to break you down, to hurt you, to stab you, to break you until you finally complete the ultimate joke, which is killing me in such a graphic, visceral way that you lose yourself completely. And because we can't live without one another, and the only way for this is to end is for you to kill me, which is destroying me, and in destroying me, you destroy yourself, which is destroying you. So now instead of both of us living together, there is neither of us live together. Because we can only exist together or apart. And the only way this is going to end is if we're finally apart. So that's kind of, the Joker is more dominant, sort of obsessive, while hers is more like, look at me, look at this thing I did for you, I captured Batman for you, I cooked this for you, I helped you do this. If you want me to stand there and be the distraction, I'll be the distraction. I'll do whatever you want. Just give me love, give me attention, care about me. Like, that's how her obsession is. It's a lot more of like a subservient role, so she gets abused by him both physically and mentally, like over and over again. And like a lot of that's what your like character is, and we kind of see this in like some of the movies early on, and then like in the first Suicide movie, and then in Emancipation of Harley Quinn, we see her breaking this, and we see that in like the comic books of her breaking this obsession for him and finally like getting the strength to leave, which is kind of complicated because she's not a great person. She's done a lot of fucked up shit. There's a lot of abuse victim as such a, can only do so much before they actually, are responsible for the actions and the hurt that they caused against other people. At the end of the day, she's an adult woman with choices, and she's made a lot of bad ones. But I don't really mind anti-hero Harley Quinn. It's a different version of her character. Could she be put on some sort of back burner? Absolutely. There's a lot of characters that deserve to be in the sort of zeitgeist more than her, but I don't really hate the character enough to be so fatigued by the idea. That being said, we kind of see this, like, how her, like, turning off her obsession towards Joker a lot in this movie. Like, she is still very obsessive. Like, she immediately falls in love with the guy. She immediately forgets why she's here and what she's doing. And all it takes is when he says he loves her, she says like he's like really pretty. She immediately kind of jumps in a sort of a relationship with him. But there's like a difference between her obsession. She's not as submissive as before. She's not like, whatever you do, I'll do it. Like the second he does something really sketchy, she shoots him. Point blank immediately. She's no longer, taking it on the chin like she once did with like Joker. And like she goes into this whole speech about it, basically saying like the people she likes, they don't stop. Like there's people with bad taste in men. Her bad taste in men is so abysmal that they need to be put down in the street like dogs. Like, she isn't in love with bad men, she is in love with supervillains. She is in love with monsters. And she doesn't get red flags. She gets, you know, the sky bleeding red and flashing, you know, ambulance lights directly in her face with a freaking parade walking by. And the people that she likes, it's better off for everyone if they're dead. And she basically says that while he's bleeding out. And I think it's very interesting, like, culmination of her characters we've seen in the three, I want to say. Yeah, the three movies she was in. It's a very interesting, like, culmination of everything. Let me see what how dry everything is. I'll probably start painting again. I probably should have grabbed more paper towels before I started this. Now that I think about it. Well, okay. And we also get, like, the general, like, the second he gets a chance to, kills the birds. I guess it's supposed to show that he was a bad guy. I'm sure that there was an actual explanation for this, but, like, I felt like it was a little out of left field. Like, I don't get every decision James Gunn makes. I'm not, like, a freaking whisperer, you know. I do have some opinions that aren't just James Gunn, like, you know, glaze, I should say. Okay. Let's add some black back in. No, we kind of ruined the whole world. We kind of ruined the word black. Because that has so many connotations. You can't even say it anymore. You can't even talk about a color anymore. I suppose there's worse problems to have. I don't actually care that much. I just think it's funny. Like, you say the word black and then you just have to be like, yeah, no, that doesn't sound that weird out of context. Yeah. Adding some black back in here. And on the topic of black people, my uncle's black, and we look nothing alike. And when we stand next to each other, I often wonder what people think about me. And I asked him, and he said, "Oh, of course, like uncle and nephew, you know, like uncle and niece." And then I'm like, "What?" He's kind of a narcissist, but in like the soft way. I think we don't really interact all that much, but I'm pretty sure people think we're dating, which isn't a fun thought to have. But you know, existing in a public space is unfortunately sort of consent for people to make bold accusations about you based on previous prejudices they hold, both on personal experiences and propaganda they hear in the news. We enter a lot of social constructs in life that you're not even aware about. It's kind of just living is entering social contracts that you kind of have to live with. I probably shouldn't say it is what it is in terms of that, saying as I'm a person of color and part of the LGBT plus community, but you know, it is what it is. I'm sorry. I'm kind of one note sometimes. You know, I'm not even. I really need to start getting to the second page of this. I'm starting to realize. Oh, damn. I've been talking for like an hour 30, and I'm not even on the second page. Okay, so we get some backstory about some of the characters. Polka Dot Man was experimented. His brother's experimented by his mother in order to give them powers. Now he has mommy issues, or he imagines everyone as a mother in order to have enough hatred in his heart to kill people. And it's an interdimensional virus. He has to expel them, or they will eat him alive. Expel him twice a day, or they will eat him alive. Yeah. everyone's like, whoa, that's a little deep. And then we get to the first checkpoint where they save Milton, who's going to be their coyote, to help smuggle them into the city. Um, they get new clothes and they like pile into his truck. There's a fun scene with Killer Croc, just putting a finger in front of his face and saying that's his disguise. And it's very cute, but unfortunately, he does have to stay into the van while they go into the gentleman's club. It's not a very good gentleman's club. I imagine they didn't give him a lot of room to do sexual things in the movie. Probably because they, wanted to get money from it. Not that they can't get money if there's sexual things in the movie, but I think they wanted to appeal to a little bit of a wider audience, which is kind of weird because of the gratuitous amount of violence. But Americans treat violence way differently than we treat sex. But then when I treat sex differently, it's an uproar. Sorry, aphobia rant there. Um, God forbid when a Puritan society creates the wrong sort of puritanical values. Okay. So they get into. Oh, wait, no. So we're back into Amanda Waller. She's playing golf because she's practicing. We learn about Ratcatcher. Her dad was an addict, so they lived on the streets of Portugal. But he was a very good father. And despite that, and he made the device to talk to rats, and it kept them warm at night, and it stole things that let them like buy the stuff they needed. And then one day he died of an overdose, and she was left alone. She gets to America at some point, and she robs a bank. The rats are considered a deadly weapon, and she's charged with a felony for her bank robbing. And that's how she got into prison. Then Bloodsport explains why he's afraid of rats. His father, when he did bad, would lock him in a crate with hungry rats, and they would eat him alive. Well, they wouldn't eat him, but they would like nibble on him, and that's why he's afraid of rats. They're at the club. They decide to all get some drinks together, and they dance a little bit. And then a search is conducted while the Thinker is at the bar. So Peacemaker, Bloodsport, and Rick Flag all decide to stay behind and get arrested while Polka Dot Man, the Thinker, and Ratcatcher sneak out the back to get to the car. And so they sneak him out, and then they get arrested. They mention that they have their friend and what's going to happen to them. They give Bloodsport a weapon, and he starts talking about the Death Touch, asking if they heard about them. And they're like, oh yeah, I've heard about it, but it's not something that could be like replicated with certainty. It can happen, but you can't really. It's not something you can really like plan for with absolute certainty. And they're like, that's just what amateurs say. They all perform the Death Touch, which is just like one hit KO to the person in front of them. It's like it's actually, as I said, it's very whimsical. They're fighting. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it is kind of cool. It was cool to watch them all like get the hint and then all complete it in succession. And I just found it fun. Sorry, just want to add the right highlights. I'm used to like coloring hair a certain way when I do digital drawing. Yeah, I starting to think doesn't translate half as well when you're actually drawing hair. But nope. And I can't really fix the way I draw hair on the fly. Well, I suppose shade hair on the fly. So I'm just gonna hope it doesn't look too weird as things go on. Okay. I don't have to do so much cleaning after this. It's like annoying. I also have to take in the trash cans after this. That's also annoying. I really hope you can't hear what I think you can hear. I suppose it also is more. I think it is what it is a lot. I said pivot a lot last time. I have weird ticks, don't I? Okay, let's start doing this hair. I added pink because I felt like it needed to add more colors, and I don't know if it's like how good of a decision that was. And you get rolling instruction. Okay. Um, where was I? Okay, so they take it out back, they do the death trap. And we get to Harley Quinn. This is a great scene of her getting tortured. They're asking her for information. She's giving nothing. They leave her alone. She raises up enough to get her hands across because she's kind of like hanging by her arms. So this is just a great like use of her like physicality and the fact that she's like a gymnast. Like she raises her hands above to I suppose like to get her feet high enough to wrap around the legs of someone, and then she it raises him up so he's no longer standing on the ground. It chokes him out a little bit before she like snaps his neck. Then she like reaches across his body to get his keys, and then she flips upside down to open the lock with her feet. It's a little Quentin Tarantino on the topic of Kill Bill, I suppose. Yeah, I should really learn how to do hair. That's not looking great. um, so then she like kills everyone in the facility in this really great scene, and then she goes outside and she waves down. She like gets the javelin back. She waves down a taxi driver, and then she sees the group, and they had planned to get her. So they go she like goes around back and she sees them trying to like enact this very complicated plan, and she gets very emotional because she doesn't have a lot of people in her corner, and so she like cries a little bit and hugs him, and he like rubs her back with a gun, and she's like, I can go back in, you guys can rescue me, and they're like, no, that's patronizing. So now she's on the team. They have the thinker, and they're basically telling him, like, you do this, you die, you do this, you die, and she's, like, adding her own things. Funny scene. But now it's time for the plant to get in. Rector has some rats that, like, chew out the supply things. They get the thinker to drive them in. They kill some people under the rain of night. There's a very fun... I listened to this song on, like, loop I know it doesn't really play that much during the. I don't think it plays at all during this part, but I just like the rain song that they created for this. I just think it's very good. Um, I also know I'm resisting every urge to not sing it right now. Anyways, they kill people in front and they lock themselves inside, and the army's outside, and now they have to figure out a way to get inside. While on inside, they are setting up claymores. And while they're doing that, Ratcatcher and Rick Flag go to see what Project Starfish is. And while they're setting up things on each level, we see Peacemaker disappear when he's supposed to be with the rest of the group. This will be important later. Um, here. Right, black. Ow. God, I'm turning into my father. Why did I say ow when paint got on me? That didn't hurt at all. My dad says ill when something scary happens on a like a TV show or a movie. When he gets jump scared, he just says ill. It's one of his worst traits. Sorry, my delivery wasn't great on that, but this is fun. I'm trying to get better at multitasking, even though real multitasking isn't real, according to my art teacher and my psychology teacher and the internet. So, I'm already kind of at a disadvantage here, I suppose. Okay. Let's see. Peacemaker gone. Okay, so we're introduced to Project Starfish. So basically, there's a bunch of prisoners behind bars. They're talking to the doctor. They're asking Rick Flag and Ratcatcher to save him from the evil doctor. Doctor introduces. They see like a bunch of people getting experimented on, like ripped apart and stuff, and it's like women and children, as well as like dissidents and journalists, and just basically political enemies are sent there to like help with the star experiments. Like a star gets put on them, and then they're brutally tortured. And the star was a hive mind, so you can like feel all of this. So it's also like doubly fucked up. And then they meet Starro the Conqueror, which is what he's called. And Rick Flag like condemns him, and then he laughs and says, "Who do you think condoned all this?" And it's like, "What?" And it's like, "The American government. It was American Yankee Doodles all up in space who found Starro. It was them who saw the potential, but they're too squeamish and scared to conduct the experiments here, so I sent him somewhere else in Corto Maltese. They had an agreement to conduct the experiments here." And Rick Flag is where it gets like the drive of where the information would be, and he says, if he's like, if this is true, he explains to Ratcatcher, then the American public deserves to know. He's like, I don't, which is very relevant in today's climate. He's like, I don't represent America in the way where I represent the actual government in the actions. Like, I represent its ideals, I represent the good. Like, that's who I fight for the people and what they deserve to know. So it's like, good guy mode. Like, I can go into a foreign country and kill a bunch of people there, but I cross the line, like torturing. It's always children. I'm a little annoyed at that. It's just like, it's always children. That's always the line is. It's always children. I'm sick and tired of just, oh, he's not that bad of a guy. Oh, wait, hold up. You killed children? Nah, now you gotta die. You know, it's starting to lose its like oomph. I guess it's not a bad philosophy. It's just like I've heard it a million times. Anyways, he gets to drive. Um, Peacemaker's like, Amanda Waller tasked me with making sure this doesn't get out. So hand me over the drive. And he's like, no, I won't do that. So they get into a fight about it. And, um, as I said before, Peacemaker is never the best person in the room. There is always someone better at him and whatever he's trying to be, and this definitely includes here, where he gets the shit kind of beat out of him, and then the only way he's able to kill Rick Flag is he like gets a piece of porcelain and stabs him in the heart in the right time while he's getting his shit like beat in. That's unfortunate. I'm sorry. It felt better in my head. It was a good idea in theory, and now I have to live with the consequences of my actions. It's not racist. So this is not, great for me. It's so funny, like, how bad this is going for me. You know? Okay. Sorry, I have to focus on my accidental racism. I really hope my stepdad doesn't walk in. This will be hard to explain to him. Yeah, sorry, we're just gonna have to lock in for a whole second. It's more funny than anything. Like, sometimes you just don't think things through. Okay. Yeah, I'm not Latino enough for this to be okay. I ain't no Afro in this Latino. And that is very unfortunate for this race and time. Maybe I could just make my half brother stand here and pretend he did it. Okay. Alright, it's just. I'm just committing. Now, fuck it, we ball. It's only half racist. Kind of more pissed that it's not symmetrical. I have more priorities. Okay. Add some gray. It's fine. Only a very loud minority of people will actually be pissed off at you because of this. You are not on Twitter to care about them. Eee. I had too much white. Too much white. Too much white. I am sort of determining the over under pretending my 2-year old brother painted this. 4-year old? It has nothing to do with the fact that he's my brother and everything to do with the fact that I just don't know how old anyone in my family is. And I actually count that. It's a miracle I remember that I made. I literally almost said I was 18 when I was 19. I'm glad I was able to prove that point. Apparently, it's not a miracle because I actually don't remember how old I am. Well, as I said, it is what it is. And what it is racist in a specific context. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's not a dimension. It's just gray. It's just a gray dimension. There's no nuance. Because it's all nuance. Yeah, we're making a metaphor of this. If it's a metaphor, then it means something special. Metaphors can be racist. I think I'm just making things up. That's why I don't have an audience. So I can just make things up. And I'm right. No one else is. Okay. Okay, okay. I'm done with my motherfucking minstrel show over here. Goddamn. This is worse than the time I accidentally painted a gun. Except it wasn't an accident because it wasn't a freaking gun. It was a glue gun, and everyone I showed it to thought it was a glue gun. Sorry, I'm still pissed about the fact that I had to repaint over a glue gun and fuck up a painting because my teacher thought it was a real gun. And then she got mad at me, and then I had to try not have a panic attack in front of her because fuck her. And then she told my parents that I wasn't taking it seriously enough. I'm sorry I was stonewalling you. I'm sorry I didn't want to cry in front of you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm spiraling. This is the part of the process where you actually realize that I'm panicking. And you're like, what? This is what panicking looks like to you? And I'd say, yeah. At what point did you think I processed emotions in a clear, communicative way that makes sense to the population at charge? Let's do a hand check. And I got some on my cheek, and yeah, there's some paint on my leg and my. I want to see belly button. How far? At what point does the belly button become the belly? I suppose that is a real question I'm asking now. There, fucked up adding that little bit of white. If the teeth look okay, then they're not. Yeah, this is the last time I paint out of my comfort zone. I'll say that. Like, yeah, we're not doing this shit again. It's like, oh, I've improved in my painting a lot. I've improved in my painting so much that I can paint out of my comfort zone. I can paint using unconventional colors. No, I can't. Just no, I can't. Just no. That skill, my skill in painting has not translated over. No, I cannot just paint good. These are just all lies. These are lies I've told myself in order to do this project. And then I'm learning in real time that I just lied. This is what happens when a liar lies. They end up lying to themselves, and then they figure out, for far too many people, that they're just a lying liar who lies. Whatever, I did say it was a bad painting day. I felt it in the air. I suppose I can just show this to my parents and then they'll say it's good, because it's kind of all they do. No offense to them. Love them, but I'm not really an art critic. Okay, what if we blend out this red? It's black with this red. Turn this back. God, the teeth are just absolutely horrifying. Not that the rest of the face isn't horrifying. It's just the teeth that are fucking with me. You know, I swear I'm good at art. I swear I'm just having an off day. At least everyone. This is gonna feel my um, freaking imposter syndrome for decades. If I eat this artwork, it's like it never happened, right? I don't know why that was my first thought on how to get rid of the evidence. And does not bode well for when I eventually murder someone. Or it does. It's not the first place people would check for a body. I'm sure it takes a while to digest them, so maybe that's not really the avenue you want to go down, huh? Well, the problem is the smile lines. We're blaming the smile lines. First, we blame my astigmatism, now we're blaming the smile lines. Well, it certainly doesn't look worse. And you know what? It's what they call progress here in the biz. The art biz. If there was an art club, I would have been kicked out a while ago. Probably for disorderly conduct. But it should have been for my art. Okay. I think it's okay. It doesn't look racist. It just looks bad. And I can work with bad. As I said, we're just trying to get the face finished today. Which is what I think I'm doing. She has a very long neck. I think it'd be like this. So I did complete the goal I wanted to, but I suppose I can at least do like neck. I don't know. Okay. Where are we? Okay, yeah. So before this, there is an explosion outside. So Peacemaker and John Cena, Peacemaker and Rick Flag Jr. Peacemaker and Junior get separated, and Peacemaker kills Junior, and then we kind of see sort of the devastation in his face. It definitely doesn't seem like something he wanted to do. It's kind of something he had to do. It's kind of like the moral. It's just kind of the lesson. Peacemaker kind of just keeps teaching to himself. It kind of just keeps killing people he doesn't want to kill because he gets the shit beat out of him, and the only way to get out of it is to kill them. And then he kind of just looks at them like, what have you done? And it's like, well, you've done what you did to the last two people. You killed them. But it does make for a very interesting character. But before you can, like, process the fact that he fucked up, or at least feels bad about what he's done, Cleo, like, crawls out of a hole at a specific moment. Like, she's got stuck with Brainiac in a cave-in, the Thinker, and he gets killed by Starro, and she runs away from it and, like, into, like, a little, like, hole, and then she happens to be in the right exact spot. For a Peacemaker character, she grabs the disc and runs away. He chases after her. He eventually catches up to her. She pleads for him not to kill her. He looks like he thinks about it for a second, but then he cocks the gun anyway. So, in the first season of Peacemaker, we learn a lot about how he's kind of all talk. Like, it's the first time he had to, like, actually kill someone that was, like, a good person, like, a person he, like, admired in a way, like, and he just, like, doesn't, it, like, shakes up his whole psyche and his whole core. But you can see him, like, hesitate, like, we see him, like, hesitate to kill the family. And so Cleo's, like, the youngest member, and, like, they both kind of see her as, like, this very young girl that's stuck with them. Like, Bloodsport sees her as sort of like a daughter figure and wants to protect her. While Peacemaker just sees her as a kid. Like, he says, sorry, kid. It's just, like, you know, business. It's not my personal. And we do end up, like, seeing he can't follow through with his dogma to, like, kill kids. And she's kind of, I would say, on the cusp of it all. Like, she's more of an adult than a kid, but she's just really young, so he struggles with it a little bit. But the reason I bring it up is more so the fact that Peacemaker one's all about, like, he's not, like, the man he, like, talks himself up how to be. In the Suicide Squad, if you go into it with that context, he's, like, less of a jerk, but more of a person who's, like, given some responsibility from a person of power. Like, Amanda Waller told him to do all this, and now he has to, like, do it, and it's clearly hard. You can see it on his face. It's not something he wants to do, but he can do it. So it's interesting to see, like, a dichotomy of, like, with the kids, it was something he was, like, I think that's, I'm not explaining this right. I need to step away from the painting to explain this right. all Peacemaker's character arc is him saying, I would kill whoever I need to kill, men, women, and children, in the name of peace. And him being constantly tested on the fact. He is tested by Goth, he is tested by Goth's kids, he is tested by Rick Flexino, he is tested by Ratcatcher Cleo, he's tested all these different ways, and like, what will he do for peace? With Rick Flag, he's able to kill an American Idol, an American hero for peace, and he feels gutted by it. It is something that keeps him up at night. It is something that he is not proud of. It is something that causes him to change his whole view on what he does and how he wants to be a good person. And by doing everything in the so-called name of peace, isn't being a good person, isn't being a hero. And what he wants in life is to be a hero, and in order to do that, he needs to reject his father's ways and change as a person. We see this with Cleo, where he has to kill like a young woman, a woman that is his friend, a woman he connected to, a woman that he does see as a kid because she's far much younger than him, and who sees as innocent, and like she's not even like putting up a fight; she's like cowering, and we see him put like a gun up to her, but he's not like able to. We don't know whether or not he was going to pull the trigger. We assume he is because it's a different person, but we do see, unlike with the other times, he takes his time with it. It's not something he's like enjoying doing. It's not something he's like doing easily. It's not something he's like proud of. So that's fun. We see it with Goth's kids, something he's just physically unable to do, and then he like pontificates and postures later saying, oh, well, I can kill kids if I need to, but like, you can't just expect me to do it whenever you want. You can just say, go kill a kid and I will. Like, it needs to be special circumstances. Like, you need to tell me what I'm doing when I'm doing it. And you see that with like Goth, when Goth says, hey, you need to like save the whole world, you need to do this. And this is like his final rejection of his dogma, where he's like, yeah, I'm not Amanda Waller. I'm not the person that can put everything, including human decency, below any idea. I can't fight blindlessly and recklessly in the name of peace, in my arbitrary version of peace. And he doesn't like choose his altruism, he chooses his friends. But this is the first time he like chooses something else. Like, he doesn't hide behind the excuse of peace. And, you know, whether or not it's a good decision is like blah, 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 blah up in the air, but it's him choosing something other than this dogma. And Goth clearly tells him, because she thinks he's going to go through with it because of what she knows about him, or thinks she knows about him. So it's extra important that he sort of rejects that dogma. And she's not letting it define him anymore. I'm just doing preliminary colors. I don't expect to really finish this part anytime soon. Okay. Meanwhile, we see what the other team is doing, and they're putting up all these guns. Milton ends up getting killed. Polka Dot Man accidentally sets off all the explosions far too early, and now they're all kind of like fucked. King Shark gets like separated, and he finds this like alien fishes that he's like having fun with, and when the explosions come down, everything starts falling apart. First the aquarium comes in, and like half of the building has exploded, and then it turns out those creatures are carnivorous and start eating him. And then he like freaks out, and he ends up like falling so many stories down to in front of the like generals and stuff who are outside trying to get in, and the general like basically tells people to shoot at King Shark, but they don't have strong enough bullets to pierce his heart, so he's kind of just countering it. It's kind of a sad scene. And then on the inside, they all jump to explode. Like, okay, the building sort of tips over. Harley Quinn helps Bloodsport get back into the building, and then realize the building is gonna fall off, so they have to run. Milton lands on the right place that doesn't fall. Harley Quinn gets the javelin in, so she's good. Bloodsport gets on the surface, but it is unsteady, so he puts his grappling gun out. But the grappling gun fails, and he falls a few floors down, and then that floor falls down to another floor, and that falls down to another floor, and then he falls in front of Peacemaker and sees him about to shoot her, and he reacts quickly, and then he shoots a bullet. Oh, Peacemaker shoots a bullet. And then the beginning of the scene, he's like, I can shoot better than you can. And he's like, and Bloodsport's like, how can you do that? When they first meet, he's like, smaller bullets. So what essentially happens is when Peacemaker shoots his gun, he shoots smaller bullets that pierces Peacemaker's round, goes into the gun, hits the shrapnel, and and then explodes his gun. It's a little unclear whether or not it's the shrapnel from the gun that cuts him or a bullet. But he was supposed to die in the scene, but they clearly just said, oh, no, he just like hurt his clavicle really bad. Anyways, but they do leave him to die, but he doesn't end up actually dying. Bloodsport takes the disc and puts it away somewhere safe from her, and they and she tells him what happens to their flag and why he's like killing everyone, and like what happened while they're gone. While this is happening, everyone else is running. They start running out of the building because Starro's time. He bursts out of the building, releases a bunch of little hive mind Starros from his armpits, and they start like attacking everyone. And like they end up protecting their faces, but the army is not as good. We see this like moment where the general is just like standing there watching as this happens, and he can do nothing about it. And they're all taken over by the hive mind, and then the hive mind stands back up, and they're going off in the direction of the city. They finally knocks down the communication that was stopping them from talking to the team. The team had been sleeping, waiting for some sort of communication. They realize what's happening is like oh shit. Mandalore tells them that's none of their business. If they destroyed the records, then they can leave. And they're gonna go, but then finally they decide that they're not gonna let all these like people die, so they all turn back. And Mandalore says, "If you don't leave right now, I'll kill you. I'll do it. I serve a fucking god. Don't test me." And then one of her subordinates hits her in the back of the fucking head. Let's go. So then all of her crew goes and decides to help out Peacemaker's team and tells them which route to take to find Starro, and now they're gonna defeat Starro. Yep. So now that's kind of what the movie is about. Them having a hero moment. Blech. But, you know, is what it is. It's always that kind of movie. This is very shiny. And it's distracting me a little bit. Shine, so shiny. I have to like stop myself from singing every song known to man. Yeah, we're good. I'll let this dry because I don't really need to paint it anymore, at least today. I'm being a little greedy because I finished when I wanted to finish a little earlier than I thought I would. So let's actually do what I'm supposed to do. Okay, I got like 6 more things left. Sorry, I have weird notes for some of these things. Okay, so they get to where Stara is. There's this ridiculous gun sequence that is fun of him putting his gun until they shoot Starro. Harley Quinn's going for the higher ground. King Shark jumps up super high to like bite a chunk of him. Polka Dot Man like takes out a bit of a leg. But then Polka Dot Man gets smashed. He is dead. The building gets smashed. King Shark gets thrown into a building. That building falls into the building Harley Quinn is at. We don't know what happens to her, really. And it's Bloodsport versus the Streets because all the Hive Mind is going after him. And this fun scene of him like desperately trying to get through as much people as he can. This is a little freaky to me. I have a fear of zombies. It's not as bad as it was when I was a kid. I blame The Walking Dead. The reason I bring it up is that recently I found out that it's just an extension of my claustrophobia. Like, don't get me wrong. I would hate to be ripped apart by a bunch of zombies. But I think I found out it's less about being eaten by zombies and more the idea of being smothered by a bunch of human bodies. I don't really care how they kill me, how excruciating it is. It's just the idea of suffocating in a large amount of bodies that freaks me the fuck out. So this is a little bit of my nightmare. Anyways, it seems like he's gonna fail, but then he sees Ratcatcher with her thing, and she's standing in a car, and Star's about to hit it, and he like gets some strength to like save her, and then a bunch of rats happen, and in turn, it's a very cute scene. They're like, he's like cowering on the ground while the rat after rat after rat in hordes just runs over his back, and she like reaches over to put a hand on his shoulder, and it's very cute and very cute little like father daughter kind of moment scene. I'd be like, she doesn't have a family, so I hope they're living with his daughter, like somewhere fun. It's just very cute. And then we see a moment of like her talking with her father on top of this like building where she'll like, why do you want rats? And he's like, well, they're the lowest creature, but even they have a purpose. And it's just like, everyone might be a cog in a machine, but that doesn't mean they're less important than someone else because at the end of the day, they still have a purpose, you know? And Harley Quinn finally realizes what the javelin's for. So she runs forward, pokes the Eye Star with the javelin, and she's in his eyeball. A bunch of rats pour in and start chewing everything in sight. We see Star freaking out. All the hive mind freaking out. His eye turning red because the fluid inside of his eye is turning red. And then eventually Starro dies, and we hear his last words, the hive mind. I was happy, floating, staring at the stars, pointing that even though he's a bad guy, even though he's going to destroy everything, he wasn't always a bad guy. He was just a creature minding his own business. And then a bunch of humans came and, you know, the rest is history. They got greedy. It's not so much because Starro did take over those creatures in the beginning. It's not so much that he wouldn't have taken over the world if he didn't find Earth naturally. It's so much so that he didn't care whether or not he found a world to conquer. He was happy where he was. And they kind of brought this upon themselves by taking him out from where he was. And then torturing him, making him extra, giving him extra incentive to spread his project. Because at the end of the day, he's an animal, and animals, like, refocus. So I'm not, like, super mad about that. We have this kind of, like, theme of the way that Harley Quinn seems Spider is very happy. Like, it's very bright and colorful in the eye of Starro. When she's fighting all these people in the thing, there's a bunch of, like, flowers and butterflies and stuff, and, like, happy music. That being said, Starro is defeated. They're all recuperating. He decides to use this as blackmail. He tells them out of water that this will all get out unless they're free. She agrees to it. The person that hit her in the head is arrested. The rest of the team is like looking like, I don't know how that happened. They get like the ride back home. They're sad that they couldn't avenge their friend, but they're not really heroes at the end of the day. Anyways, we find out Weasel's alive. Sebastian, who the whole time was like trying to get along with Bloodsport, like giving him objects, waving hi to him, is like curled up on his leg, and Bloodsport gives him a few little pets, and it's very adorable. And I think that's the end. There might have been an end credit scene. I just didn't feel like wasting the time to see. I feel like there's something else I wanted to mention, but I don't remember. That's sort of the end of it. As per usual, I'll finish this painting in my own time. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. Who's to say, really? Maybe I'll never finish it. As long as I don't die. Finishing is finishing. That's what she said. Anyways, let's do a little bit of a paint check. It's actually not as bad as it usually is. It's probably because I only painted for a couple of hours. There's like a little paint on my cheek. And there's some paint on my belly and my leg. And then, oh look, there it is. Paint on my foot. You thought it wouldn't happen. You thought you would see it happen. I don't know how this got there. It just did. Let's see. Did it get on my other foot? Oh, we only got one foot. That, folks, is what we call in the business progress. I have low standards for myself. Anyways. Yeah. So this is the end of the first Suicide Squad. Much better than the second Suicide Squad. Much better than the first. I do not think I'll be watching the first. Sometimes I find enough love within myself to stop myself from torturing myself. So, I'm taking this as a personal victory and not me being cowardly and not wanting to see Jared Leto's Joker. It's not actually it's not the worst movie in the world. But it's I don't want to watch it again. Anyways, next week I will probably be doing the new Jurassic Park World because it's still in my brain enough. It might change, but I have a little pain on my lip. But I don't think it will. And I think I'll be doing face paint for that because I can't think of another art project. I'm trying to do as many different ones as I can for now. Again, things might change. I have a week. Things change in a week. I could die in a week. Um, yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, next week we're doing Jurassic Park. I think the week after that I'll finally start working on the Fast and the Furious ones. I have a doc. Don't ask me why I have it. Don't ask why I have it. You don't need to know. You don't need to know everything about my life. But I have a cool doc that's about 100 pages long, full of every Fast and the Furious movie and my notes and all of them. And I'll probably be showing the notes rather than drawing something because they are unhinged. I don't have a filter sometimes when I'm writing specific things like letters or notes. Yeah, that's about it. If you want to watch that, come back next Wednesday around 4-ish. That's probably when I'll be doing my Jurassic Park review, Jurassic World review. If you actually watched this, congratulations, you're a masochist. Go get help. No, but seriously, thanks. You didn't have to. Again, I don't really do that for this reason. I just like to have fun. Um, but thanks everyone that is watching this or will be watching this in the future, because you can watch this VOD on YouTube or on Twitch for about 7 days. And I'll be posting this on Instagram, and I think... Oh, wait, one more thing. I guess I'm supposed to like share personal things about this to build a connection to foster a community. So I will end this broadcast on this one note. Yesterday I saw a woman smoke a crack pipe.